It's the story that's sending the country into a frenzy and sparking widespread conversation.
The president has it.
What?
Kanye has it.
What are you talking about?
Dragon energy.
No, stop. Gross.
And instead of focusing on real issues impacting race in our country, we're focusing on Kanye West, who says it's not about anything of substance. It's just all of a sudden, with a record coming out, he likes Donald Trump.
When the president starts bragging about all the things he's done for black folk, Kanye West doesn't represent black people. Listen to All Falls Down. This man has been lost for years.
The African Americans are predominantly Democrat, and anytime somebody breaks from that orthodoxy, they tend to become a target.
We have the right to independent thought, and I independently think that Kanye has lost his mind.
I think it's weird. I think it's disappointing to me.
Remember Yeah, I love it. All right, the media even asking Sarah Sanders about it at the White House press briefing.
Kanye West has been in the news lately for supporting the president and expressing his admiration for the president.
Covering all range of topics today.
I'm curious whether the president has reached out to Kanye West and whether he'd be willing to meet with him at the White House.
I know they met during the transition. That's the only meeting I'm aware of that's taken place or conversation before everybody has a meltdown.
President Trump also weighing in this week.
He sees that stuff, and he's smart. And he says, you know what? Trump is doing a much better job than the Democrats did.
And President Trump commenting again today, Kanye West has performed a great service to the black community. Big things are happening and eyes are being opened for the first time in decades. Legacy stuff. Thank you also to Chance and to Dr. Daryl Scott. They really get it. Lowest black and Hispanic unemployment in history. And this all started with one 7-word tweet last Saturday. I love the way Candace Owens thinks. That single tweet created a media frenzy and could be leading to a cultural shift. But the Five has a very interesting update. Candace predicted this would happen over a year ago.
I first said, if you understand Kanye West, then you can understand the movement of Donald Trump. It's funny to me that people can't correlate that. It's very similar. It's just anti-political correctness.
All right, and joining us today, special guest on the Five, Candace Owens. Wonderful to have you here with us. We've been talking about you, and now we can speak with you.
Finally, right? I've been hearing a lot of this chatter.
Yeah. So you predicted this a year ago, and now you become part of this cultural shift.
Right. That's exactly right. Look, I could be a little biased. I love the way Candace Owens thinks as well. But this is really bizarre. And I knew that it was going to be Kanye West to sort of break through this matrix and this group thought on the left, because the one thing that he advocates the most for in his music is independence. And that, to be quite frank, that is now a position on the right. To be a conservative means that you allow independent thinking. They do not allow that on the left whatsoever. So it's curious to see. This is the beginning of what is going to be a very interesting time in Black America.
Yeah, and Greg, when this first happened, we talked about it here, obviously, on the Five, and you say, wait, something's going on here. This seems to be a cultural shift. You didn't feel it was like a publicity stunt or anything like that.
Well, it's, people will call you a hypocrite if you say, well, when celebrities talk politics, you tell them to shut up because what do they know? You're an actor, just act. But this is different because this comes with a cost. It comes with a cost to his reputation, to his fan base, and to album sales. When people say he's doing this to promote album sales, they don't know his fan base because this is going to hurt him. So he didn't choose the typical cuddly issue that would get him love and props like climate change or bullying or gun control. He chose the most harmful issue, the most divisive issue, which is putting his arms around President Trump. So that takes a lot of guts. And I do think it reflects, you were on Dave Rubin's show there. You're seeing a change also in the intellectual dark web, as they call it. These shows like Dave Rubin, Sam Harris, Scott Adams, Joe Rogan. People are seeking another place to find the truth because they're tired of the narrative. And I think this is part of that.
I think you overstate the
I'm trying to overstate it, Geraldo.
President Trump got 8%.
Geraldo's saying you're overstating something.
Well, that's a first. Here's a fact. I cop to that, but here's a fact. President Trump got 8%. 8% of the African-American vote, which was a bit of a spike from what Mitt Romney got, 6%. Race and politics, race is politics, politics is race in this country. Van Jones, the CNN commentator, said on election night that this was white lash. There was white lash on one side, and there was, people of color on the other side. I think that the ferocity of the reaction to Kanye West's support of President Trump and of you, Candace, is a measure of that.
I agree, because you're saying Romney was at 6%, Trump's at 8%. If you can go to 10% for a Republican candidate nationally, that brings all different kinds of counties in play. And with the country divided the way it is, I mean, that razor margin could really have a significant impact. Before we start, I want to get one thing clear. What show did you do, Candace, first on Fox News?
Before Kanye tweeted me, it was Water's World that saw me, so I do have to give them a little bit of credit here.
Establish that. Also, on behalf of Juan Williams, I'd like to say I'm sorry.
I wish he was here today.
We all wish Juan was here today.
He said some really nasty.
I put a hurt on him. He's still recovering.
Yeah, he's got some bruises. I would say one thing. I think Kanye and Donald Trump have so much in common besides the dragon energy.
Right.
They both thrive on controversy. They're both very egotistical. They're both loved and they're both hated. They both kind of drive their supporters crazy, but they also make their supporters dance. And he says that this isn't political, Kanye. He says it's not about Republican, it's not about Democrat, it's about independent thought. And I agree with that. I don't think he's, thinking about the black unemployment or some of the things that Trump has done for the black community. But if you do think about the policy, I don't think that Trump has hurt African Americans in this country. If you look at food stamps are down, shootings are down in Chicago, historic low black unemployment. Things are not terrible in the black community as a result of Donald Trump's policies.
President Trump, first of all, there is a real thing called dragon. I mean, dragon energy is real. Trump's a movie star. Kanye West is a movie star. There are others who have that.
Do you have that? It's in your mustache.
I do.
It's a little in the mustache.
But President Trump, during the campaign, did some things that really were egregious from the point of view of African Americans and other minorities. When he feigned ignorance of David Duke. I don't know David Duke. I have to research it. When he was busted in the South Carolina primary. When he, in the Charlottesville neo-Nazi march, when he equated the two sides and said there were good people on both sides.
That was the extreme left with the extreme right. 100%.
Right, but when it comes to neo-Nazis, you've got to be unequivocal in your condemnation.
No, you have to be. It's Antifa versus the KKK.
I said to the president, face to face, that I thought that he needed to reach out. And I looked around, and everybody in Mar-a-Lago was white, and I said, you need some black faces here. I think that that's a reality, and he has to face it. There is a structural problem with race and politics in this country. Donald Trump, because he has dragon energy, because he is this independent thinker, because he is so charismatic in his own way, has the ability, I think, to bust out of that 8%.
Right. Candace, let me talk to you about this, because really, in terms of this cultural shift and what's going on here, I think what, minority women, conservative women like yourself, like myself, take offense to is when some cultural elites trying to tell us what we should think, what we should believe, our ideology, whether we're on the right track or we're just delirious to even support a president or support conservatives or Republicans. That's pretty much what Kanye is saying. He's pushing back against that sort of very polarizing thinking that tries to put people in boxes and stigmatize you if you don't agree with what they think is right.
Correct. It's monolithic thinking, and that's what I've always been punching back against, because at the end of the day, it doesn't always even make sense. What you bring up doesn't make sense to me when you say he needs to have some more black faces. That means nothing. We saw that with President Obama. He had every black artist in the White House for photo ops, and at the end of the day, Chicago was worse off after 8 years of Obama in office. So I don't need to see a black face. I need to see black results. I mean, I find it insulting to me that people say, well, let me pander and let you know we've got Beyonce and Jay-Z on stage, so I'm with her. No, I'm not with her. Her husband locked up more black men than any president in the history of the United States. So you're exactly right. I find that to be always an uphill challenge to say to somebody, I've researched.
No, Clinton.
Bill Clinton. Yeah, her husband. Hillary's
husband.
But
that's true. The statistics, former prosecutor, I'll tell you, you can see that in terms of the number and a record level of incarcerations of black Americans. So, there's points to be made here with specific facts to support all of these, these theories of people saying, wait a second, what's going on in this country that all of a sudden there's a groupthink that's trying to pollute your mind, that doesn't respect someone's individuality or, freedom of thought or expression.
Right, and that's what I always say is the truth is that the Democratic Party views us as low information voters. That's why they give us Beyonce and Jay-Z. They don't think we're going to go research the stats, that we're monitoring that sort of a thing. That's why when Hillary Clinton was on these black hip-hop shows, she was talking about having hot sauce in her bag. Don't talk to me about hot sauce in your bag. You know, talk to me about the issues that are facing our community. So I'm greatly insulted by the fact, by people, Geraldo, you saying that, oh, well, there should be just more black faces. No, there needs to be more black conversation.
I disagree with that.
Black people to Mar-a-Lago. Make Greg in after this, please.
I think that. Oh, what'd you say? Greg first.
No, I think that it goes beyond politics.
But diversity is something that's real.
Yeah, I guess.
Symbols and reality sometimes are the same.
But the ultimate result from the hyper-diversity is identity politics, in which you're not seeing the individual anymore, you're seeing the group. And I think that's what Kanye, why he connected with you, was he was seeing an individual talking about being an individual, not extolling the group identity, which has become so noxious that we're putting the quickest way to fascism is to put the group before the individual. But I'm hoping with Candace and looking at Kanye is that now that you have this power, what do you do with it? It's about persuasion. It's not. It's like you actually won. Now it's time to win converts, and that means being persuasive, which means not for going for shock value, but wanting to connect with people who disagree with you. And that's what, when you saw Kanye and John Legend going at it, you saw two people actually using love because they admire each other while they deeply disagreed over Trump, and it worked.
And what I think is happening now is the media, instead of covering the granular conversation here, they're trying to discredit Kanye West because they don't want to talk about Chicago under Barack Obama. You'd think that CNN, when Kanye West comes out and says something that's shocking. I mean, it's not news if Kanye had said something bad about President Trump. That would not have been news, but CNN would have covered that all day long. Instead, he says something nice about President Trump, and CNN, and I watched it, either buried it or tried to discredit Kanye. So they're not being fair with the way the news is being presented because they don't want to have the conversation.
I absolutely agree, but the fact of the matter is black unemployment is at record lows. Hispanic unemployment is at record lows. That's the message that the Republican Party has to convey to the inner city. That's Darrell Scott in Cleveland, my neighbor and friend, gets it.
He's fantastic.
You know, Republican ideas are sometimes better than Democratic ideas. The Democratic establishment that has ruled decades of the inner city has, presided over the Camdens and the
Well, that's the thing, and it's the idea of persuasion, like you said, Greg, and, Candace, you being part of that. And so, like, a friend of mine said, instead of the Brexit, the Blacksit movement, meaning it's okay to be black and proud and conservative and a free thinker. That was my friend, Raheem Kassan. All right.